books today if I had the gumption to write a new story. But the last book I wrote, which was a political romance, a contemporary political romance, was about 3.5 years ago, I think. It was before F&W Media was acquired by Simon & Schuster. And I just, I don't have an idea for a story. It pretty much took over my life when I was writing.
Yeah.
No, I would be somewhere and I would be trying to work out a plot point, or I'd get up in the middle of the night to work out a plot point. And no, I worked so hard all my life. I just don't want to work that hard anymore.
Yeah.
So
how
that was it. So
yeah. So how is the creative process of writing different or similar to the creative process of quilts when you were quilting?
Oh, well, I think it's very different because the quilting process is so visual. It's visual and it's mathematic, and writing is almost more auditory. I mean, I would read my manuscripts out loud because I needed to hear them. I needed, it was a lot of sound involved in writing that I don't use for quilting. So I think they're completely different. And so in a way they're symbiotic and they enhance each other because you get tired of doing one and you can switch off and
right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so funny because I write for a living as well, different from what you did, but that's my job is basically to write. And I feel like when I'm quilting, it's literally my brain feels different. It's totally a different experience than the creative process of writing. And I'm not sure how to explain that any more than that, but I find it, but they're both creative and they're both awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I just feel like it's different. It really feels different to me.
I think it's completely different. I was just quilting yesterday, and I had the material under the needle in the machine, and I was watching my hands move to make little hearts. I was making a heart, and then making a vine, and making a heart, and making a vine, and it was getting into the motion of it.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I was done that the hearts at the end were so much better than the hearts at the beginning.
Interesting. Someone was telling me, giving me strategies on how to, because as I said, I'm really good at copyright, but I'm like an okay quilter. And they were like, well, put on music while you quilt, or drink a little bit of wine before you quilt. They were giving me all these techniques. And I thought, there is a rhythm thing that you get into. If you're doing it right, it feels like there's just a kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a dance or a rhythm to all of it, that if you can get in that groove, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's very...
Yes, it is.
Almost meditative. Yeah. I don't know. It's lovely. At the end, I quilt at the end of the day and on weekends mostly, so it's kind of, feels like it's an escape from the world, at least for me.
It is. It is. I don't, and I'm kind of someone who's always jumped from one thing to the other. Oh, now I'd like to try this. Oh, now I think I'll just, ski or something. And but quilting has held my interest for longer, and I don't know why that is. Probably, certainly the relaxation factor, and then also, as I'm sitting here at my desk and I'm looking at this wall hanging that I did of these Chinese lanterns, and I just remember the joy of finishing something and how you feel about it, and there it is, and it's kind of like it's for perpetuity rather than that little jumpsuit I made for my 3-year-old daughter, and she sat in a grease in the driveway the first time she wore it. It was completely gone. So it's lasting.
It is lasting.
I think that my kids, I can give things to my kids. Of course, Christopher left a couple of the quilts that I made him in New York. I don't know if he'll ever get those back, but
that's very naughty. We'll have to talk to him.
Yeah, that's all right. He'll get some more. He'll get funny. More. But
now, some people have described quilting as that they see it's more than what it is. So that it's more than the design. It's more than someone making it. That somehow it gets sort of imbued with love or kindness or caring or whatever way that some part of you is part of that quilting, and that's also part of why they like to do it so much. Do you feel that part of it? That kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I do. And, I would never buy a pattern that includes, you can buy the patterns that get the pattern and all the material comes with it.
Yeah. You wouldn't?
Because that takes away the most fun for me, which is finding the material.
The fabric, yeah. So I suspect you don't like buying the charm packs or the jelly rolls or things like that either. Is that true?
Well, no, I have to say that I kind of do like some of them because I'm not crazy about rotary cutting.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Although I do it, and but I have evolved. I made one quilt with layer cakes, and I just finished this little thing because I wanted to try those new cake mixes that Moda has come out with. Yeah, which was kind of fun and different to do.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's always something. Quilting is an enormous industry, isn't it?
It's enormous.
Huge.
It's enormous, and that's what we're trying to understand. By doing this project. So we're just starting. We've done I think we're up to 80 interviews, and I feel like we're just starting to understand it. It's just huge. It's kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just honored to be included. I'm honored to be included, Elizabeth, because I've seen on the Facebook page some of the other people that you've interviewed who have long histories in the business of quilting, and here I am, just a little hobby. I'm just a hobby quilter, but
you know what? We all start there, and I think a couple of things. First of all, the whole industry is built for us, right? That we'll go into a shop and buy stuff. So I felt like I want to know our stories as much as the designers or the famous quilters or any of that, because even the famous quilters started out like us for the most part, right? Just people who like to quilt. And then same with the tools and all the threads and all of that. That's interesting to sort of learn that world. But it really just started with we should have a voice too, I wanted to know your story as much as the fancy stories. So they're more interesting in some way.
Thank you. That's really nice. I do. I mean, when you think about it, there are quilting celebrities. Absolutely,
they are.
And think about how recent that is. I mean, someone like Jenny Doan with the Missouri Star Quilting Company. She's a huge quilting celebrity.
Right.
The Fonz and Porter gals, and Mary Fonz, the daughter, was in Orlando about 2 years ago, and I went to meet her, and she is so delightful. Lovely. She is pursuing an MFA at the Art Institute in Chicago.
Interesting.
Chicago Art Institute.
Very interesting.
Which is where Christopher's girlfriend is.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, well, I should say ex-girlfriend, but anyway, she's in the same class.
That's funny.
So, and she's that Jenny Doan and that whole Hamilton, Missouri Star Quilting Company.
Yeah.
It's just
huge, right?
It's
so
huge.
Many of them. The other people that we've been interviewing are internet-based famous quilting people and sewing people like Leah Day and Crafty Gemini and modern society. And I find that fascinating too. I mean, it's what you said about your book, about the importance of marketing and getting stuff out there and social media, and they have figured it out. And it's kind of interesting to understand that component of the world as well, you know?
Yes. Yeah. The whole YouTube thing.
How crazy is that? And then we've also been doing...
It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. We've also been doing historians and museums, and so there's that side of it, which is fascinating. And then adventure. So I would love for you to be part of our quilting army and help us by, when you go on these adventures, that you report back to us about what you're learning and what you've seen in terms of, you know, all the places you go and stuff you do. And then hopefully we'll go on more adventure as well. We're, you know, trying to raise money so that we can go on more field trips and go on more adventure. So,
well, I would love to do that, and yes, I'm excited about being involved in it, and maybe I can get my son to quilt.
It's true. I have not gotten Chris to quilt. I have gotten another one of my law students to quilt, and he said he found it very relaxing. But I think he may have been just humoring me. But I keep saying that I want to get some sewing machines at the law school so the students can experience it. So we'll see if that ever happens. But it makes me laugh.
Well, men are quilting now, for sure. I mean, there's one, Rob, what's his name? Man Quilt? What is he called? Rob somebody. He's really a cool guy. He's on YouTube.
Man Sewing with Rob Appel? Is it Man Sewing?
That's him. Yeah.
Man Sewing.
Yes.
He does. New tutorials every Manly Monday. Okay, we so have to, and you can get swag. You can get a t-shirt from them. Interesting.
Yes.
Quilting tutorials. Interesting. What's he doing?
Love his stuff.
Yeah?
His quilts are so great. His quilts are so great, and he has fabulous tips. And, he's wonderful. I was looking at a seminar that he's doing at Missouri Star in Hamilton, Missouri, and I thought, I would love to do that. I would love to go there.
That's really great. We'll have to see if he's willing to come chat with us. Look at this. I love it. His stuff is so cool. It's really great.
Yeah. I know. It really is. So anytime you want to learn how to do something, you know, you just go to YouTube and say, how to bind a quilt, and there are 30 to 40 videos, telling you how.
Yep, it's so true. It's so true. It's so much fun. It's such a huge community. It's huge and it's small at the same time. It's kind of interesting. Now, what shows have you been to? What shows do you go to that you like to go to that I might know or not know?
Well, the Original Sewing and Quilt Expo, which I think takes place in about 7 to 10 cities around the country, mostly in the East. I've been there several times in Lakeland, and one year I went to the Atlanta show and spent 3 days there. So it's traveling, it's workshops, it's, all the quilting greats are there. Oh, poor Nancy Zeman died in November.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, what's the furthest you've ever traveled to go to a quilting adventure? How far will you go?
Well, probably, I would say it was probably from Asheville to Atlanta when I went there and then, spent 3 nights there, 4 days and 3 nights. And so that was, Atlanta's about a 4.5 hour drive.
Interesting. So, it's coming to the Original Sewing and Quilt Expo is coming to Lakeland, Florida. Is that close to you?
Yeah. It is only an hour away.
Really?
And
that's cool.
I go there every year, except this year I will be in New Orleans that weekend.
You will? Well.
Yeah.
We are going to have to quilt together. What are you doing here? Are you visiting your son?
Yeah.
We're going to have to make time.
Oh, I would love that. We usually come twice a year. And
that's nice.
My husband ran the Rock and Roll Marathon last February.
Yeah.
So we were there for that, and then we were there in October, And so we're coming